Shane Bruce, Rest on My Daisy, with a hail and farewell video. That's right, kids, what you're looking at on the counter are two, count them, two Grandpa Jim specials. And they're heading off to Grandpa Jim himself probably early next week. We still have to do a firing cycle with the guns to make sure there's no mechanical and innard problems before they're delivered. Now, if you're not familiar with the Grandpa Jim, if you haven't seen the other videos where I've talked about previous versions that I've built of this gun, it is a Daisy 105 buck stock. And what we've done is removed the original buttstock, put fiddle on it because fiddleback looks nice. It dances in the light. It has chatoyance. But the stock dimension is roughly the same as the 105 buck because that is Daisy's youth model. And these two guns are destined for two of Grandpa Jim's three grandchildren. I've already built him one of these for grandchild number one, but now number two and number three have been scheduled to receive their versions. So let's move down the weapon, and we'll see what we've done is we've replaced the factory buttstock. We have replaced the factory plastic lever and installed a classic Daisy metal lever, a 3-star lever in the case of the gun on the bottom. And then we put a super long forearm on them, and this turned out really nice. This is a nice example of a Kentucky length forearm in fiddleback maple. Has excellent coloration, real good density. The next thing we do with the gun is we run up here at the front and we pull the factory standard plastic sight and install the Daisy fiber optic sight. Now, what makes a Grandpa Jim is that we have removed the mainspring assembly, which is exactly the same mainspring as a Red Ryder, and replaced it with a 499 mainspring. We've also upgraded the air tube to a 764 air tube, an overbore air tube, because this gun has no energy requirement for cocking. And with the light spring it's got, as you can hear, that's a very light spring. They will run in the 160 to 175 feet a second range. Now, that makes them poor choices for can cutting, but it makes them an excellent choice for can knocking over, especially can knocking over at relatively close range, under the supervision, the strict supervision of Grandpa Jim or an individual like Grandpa Jim. Let's take a look at the gun in the back. And here we can discuss briefly, there's a supply chain issue with Daisy at the moment. This is a Daisy Model 25 flip peep rear sight. So you've got a buckhorn here, and then you can flip it up and you got a little genuine tiny little peep sight. And this is an excellent training aid for young shooters. Buckhorns are typically able to acquire the sight faster. The peep sight makes for more precise shooting. And when you stick them way back here on the back of the gun, young shooters don't get confused about where the rear sight is when you're talking to them about it, because you can just point it out. It's right there. Put your eyeball there, look through that notch, find that red dot, put it on the target, squeeze the trigger, and then watch the can follower. Really cool stuff. Now, the second gun also has a metal lever, but it's a Daisy line lever, not the 3-star. It has the 499 mainspring, as well as the 764 air tube, and just like the previous gun, it is cockable with one finger. This is set up for small kids, and I mean tiny little kids, so that they can actually cycle the gun themselves under close, direct adult supervision. Now let's take a look at the flip sides on the guns. Whoops, got my cord there. As we can see, because wood is wood and wood variables are wood variables, both guns look good on both sides. The forearms are the showboats of the pieces. And Grandpa Jim has a real fondness for Kentucky-style long rifle weapons. So, there we go. We're still waiting on a rear sight from Daisy. Daisy sent me an email saying it's on the way. And that's part of the supply chain constraints we've got with Daisy at the moment. They do have some stuff, a lot of stuff they don't have. But these Grandpa Jims will be heading out of here next week and should arrive at time for Christmas. That's all we've got for you today, kids. This is Shane Bruce with Rest on My Daisy, signing off.